Hello and welcome to this special broadcast on DD India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, on the second day of his visit to Israel, is scheduled to hold delegation-level talks with his counterpart, Benjamin Netanyahu. I am Gautam Roy.
Day 2 of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Israel marks a decisive step forward in building India-Israel strategic partnership. So today's engagements, formal ones, will focus on deepening cooperation in technology, defense, agriculture, innovation, reaffirming a partnership rooted in trust and geared towards the future. I'm Tanvi Taneja.
And Prime Minister Modi earlier today paid homage at Yad Vashem, Israel's Holocaust Museum. This solemn visit underscored India's respect for history, resilience, and the shared values of humanity that bind the two nations together.
Yes, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also met Israeli President Dr. Isaac Herzog, and he has been conferred yesterday with the Speaker of the Knesset medal in recognition of his exceptional contribution in strengthening strategic relations between India and Israel. So the next 2 hours or so, we'll connect with our correspondents, experts joining us on the show to understand the significance of this visit.
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Yad Vashem, the World Holocaust Remembrance Center. He was accompanied by Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Yad Vashem chairperson Danny Dayan. Prime Minister Modi also visited the poignant Book of Names Hall, a powerful tribute preserving the memory of millions who perished during the Holocaust.
The Book of Names contains 4.8 million Holocaust victims' names. The leaders also participated in a memorial ceremony at the Hall of Remembrance. Prime Minister also laid a wreath and paid homage to victims of the Holocaust.
This visit marks Prime Minister Modi's second Yad Vashem stop, underscoring India-Israel solidarity against hatred. The memorial stands as a solemn reminder of the brutality of the past and our collective resolve to stand against injustice and create a better world.
Also today, a little while ago, we saw Prime Minister Narendra Modi meeting Israeli President Dr. Isaac Herzog as part of his state visit. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also signed a visitor's book at the museum. Dr. Isaac Herzog appreciated India's economic growth in his remarks. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi also thanked the Israeli president for the welcome.
And the PM, along with the Israeli president, also planted a tree in the grove of the righteous among the nations, symbolizing hope, remembrance, and enduring India-Israel friendship against hatred.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi engaged in key bilateral discussions with President Isaac Herzog at the presidential residence. Following his tribute at the Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial, the leaders started with a cordial tete-a-tete, followed by an expanded bilateral meeting.
But the talks were centered on bolstering the India-Israel strategic partnership, covering bilateral relations, parliamentary cooperation, innovation, technology, defense, regional stability amid West Asia tensions, and advancing the proposed free trade agreement. Prime Minister Modi emphasized shared democratic values, mutual commitment to counter terrorism, global good, and enduring friendship.
President Herzog warmly welcomed Prime Minister Modi, expressing delight at the deepening ties and Israel's appreciation for India's steadfast solidarity, while highlighting the historic significance of the visit in strengthening people-to-people ties and strategic bonds.
Let's now take you across live to DD India. Shubhendu Ghosh joining us from Jerusalem. Shubhendu, the day already part of solemnity as well as a bit officious with that meeting with President Herzog, but tell us what else is in store for today, because that is going to be the key part in terms of what we learn about the outcomes of this visit, won't it?
That's right, Gautam. Perhaps in many ways the most significant part of the day is sort of yet to begin, the bilateral engagement between Prime Minister Modi's delegation and the delegation of his Israeli counterpart, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Expectations are quite high. The kind of relationship, friendship that the two countries, the two leaders share. The two countries already enjoy strategic partnership. It's been 9 years since the ties were elevated to strategic partnership. We are on standby, in fact, for that bilateral engagement to begin. I am in the briefing room after the bilateral meeting ends. This is where the leaders are going to come and deliver their press statements. A lot of expectations in the area of innovation and technology partnership. Defense and security continues to be the cornerstone of this relationship between India and Israel, the manner in which it will be taken forward. We know we are already in conversation as far as joint production of technologies and defense equipments are concerned. An agreement in that context has already been signed early last year, if you recall that. And now we'll have to see what are going to be the tangible outcomes in these sectors. Agriculture, water management are also areas where Israeli innovations are very impactful, and India has been engaging with Israel on that front. People-to-people linkages. There is already a mechanism for organized workforce mobilization from India to Israel. But these countries have unique demographic situations. Israel, especially around the peak of the Gaza conflict, had a crunch of skilled and semi-skilled workers. And India, we know, is a global talent pool of workers with diverse skill levels. So there was this organized partnership between India and Israel to move the kind of semi-skilled workers, particularly in caregiving, in construction sector that they were in need of. That could be expanded further. But we're learning from sources that this partnership in innovation and technology sharing is something that both leaders are very, very keen on. India just coming from the AI Impact Summit. And just yesterday, Prime Minister here in Jerusalem engaged with some Israeli tech leaders, startups, who are very keen, who had a very ready model, the manner in which they want to expand their work in India and make it a win-win partnership for both India and Israel. So all these issues in focus with this very most important meeting of the visit, if I may say, is yet to begin.
Okay, Shubhendu, tell us a bit more about the reception given to Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the Presidential Palace by Dr. Isaac Herzog. We heard the comments where Dr. Isaac Herzog was very appreciative of India's economic rise.
That's right. It's a very special visit as Prime Minister had at the Presidential Palace. He was warmly welcomed by President Isaac Herzog, and the two leaders have also met earlier. They share a very warm rapport. Israel, President, both have been very appreciative of the kind of developmental growth that India has made, the kind of support that India lends to Israel. The country really values it in global geopolitics, to stand shoulder to shoulder, to have convergences, particularly in domains of issues of terrorism, of solidarity. Those are elements which are deeply appreciated by the president. And we also saw the Prime Minister yesterday at Knesset speaking very passionately about how he values Prime Minister's presence at the Knesset when he became the first Prime Minister to deliver the address. And the visit at the Presidential Palace, Tanvi, was a very cordial one, very friendly one. Both leaders exchanged their thoughts on the kind of development agenda that they're going ahead with their respective countries and the areas of convergence. That's the key word, really. There's always been comfort in the relations between India and Israel, with deeper convergence. And what are the sectors which are ready to be able to take that forward? And in that, we also see perhaps a certain roadmap emerging as to the manner in which in the coming decade, the past decade of strategic partnership between India and Israel, a lot of technology sharing. We are on the cusp of joint production. A lot of technology is now. The next decade is full of potential, is what the leaders and stakeholders say. We just on standby to learn what is that roadmap going to be. What are the areas which will have a specific focus? And those were also the elements that the conversation that President and Prime Minister had a short while earlier today.
Right, Shubhendu, also tell us about the address that Prime Minister Modi delivered at the Knesset yesterday and the honor that he got, how was this entire experience received really by the people there, not just in the Knesset, the members there, but the Israeli people?
Gautam, if I can just share a context of the warmth and friendship between India and Israel and the people before I specifically come to your question. Wherever we go, when people ask us where you're from and we say India, there's been a consistent experience, whether we talk about engagement with school children or with diplomats and leaders and tech leaders and cooperatives. There's such great degree of bonhomie between people of India and Israel, something that comes so naturally to them. So many of them have, about 85,000 of them had Indian roots. They emigrated to Israel. So that is really the foundation of the people-to-people ties. And in such a context, when a leader of the country, Prime Minister Modi in this case, comes to Israel, there's been great excitement around it. People, before he arrived, were curious, when is he coming? How long will he stay? What is the plan? So people on the streets have been curious about what this relationship entails and what will Prime Minister Modi bring in terms of his ideas for the speech. And after the speech, we saw how historic it was. There was chanting of Modi, Modi. That is, we've seen those images in sort of domestic political programs, perhaps, but there were no Indian politicians as such in the Knesset. There were parliamentarians of a foreign country, but they chanted Prime Minister's name in a manner that they have admiration for him, the manner in which Prime Minister could, in a very, very sensitive way, touch upon the chords that connect India and Israel. Even in doing so, as a statesman, keeping in view India's own strategic autonomy, he also spoke about Palestine, how India has always been supportive of peaceful resolution of the negotiations. So all these elements bring about a great deal of respect for the leader.
Also, Shubhendu, if we could mention...
Yeah.
Yes, also Shubhendu, I was saying if you could mention the respect and admiration Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds even in the opposition circles of the Knesset. Yes, we heard that the opposition members boycotted the address of Benjamin Netanyahu, but were very much inside the chambers to listen to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And in fact, Yair Lapid also on social media time and again has said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a friend of Israel in tough times.
That's right, Tanvi. That's very rightly put. In fact, there's very interesting visuals where we saw a certain coming together of sort of domestic politics and international engagement. There may be differences between the government and the opposition in Israel, and I mean, all countries have that in a political context. But when it comes to acknowledging the presence of a leader who represents 140 billion from a powerful country, from a powerful partner, supportive partner, friendly country like India, then you really come together. So that kind of bipartisan support that Prime Minister enjoys across different countries, but here in Israel also, even while in domestic context, Prime Minister Netanyahu may be facing certain challenges from the opposition, but they all came together to listen to the Prime Minister's address. And they also spoke very clearly that Prime Minister is a friend of Israel, irrespective of who's in power. So that speaks volumes about statesman-like stature that Prime Minister had in global geopolitics here in Israel, but it also talks about the stature of India, the kind of friendship, the kind of partnership that India offers to Israel. Israel respects that, and irrespective of the political motivations of the domestic politicians, all of them gathered. And we saw the manner in which there was standing ovation, the Knesset medal that was accorded to Prime Minister, all of it speaking volumes about the stature, the respect that Prime Minister enjoys, that certainly India enjoys in Israel's views.
Yes, certainly, Shubhendu. Okay, thanks a lot for joining us for the moment from Jerusalem there. Shubhendu Ghosh.